Hey, everybody, welcome back to Streetlight Angels podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh, and I'm with Eugene here, my other co-host. What's up, Eugene?
What's up, Josh?
Man, you ready to talk about this episode? This one's going to be a little bit heavy.
I believe I'm ready.
I believe it's going to be a little heavier than we have. Also, too, this is not an episode for the weak minds. It's a little bit more aggressive. You know, that's what this podcast's originally for. And then, you know, episode 11 on to the end of all time is going to be obviously, you know, a little bit more adult driven, because we're the ones who are affecting our children, and we're the ones that are making these problems, and we're the ones who have destroyed this opportunity for our kids to go outside and play until the streetlights. Now, maybe not just you personally. When I say we're the ones, I'm saying we're the ones as a village who have created this disgusting dynamic that we're kind of driving into the future, and we got to get away from it. And so this podcast is now shifting gears full force into, we don't give a shit anymore about people's feelings. We don't care about somebody's opinion on crap. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't care anymore, and it's got to change, and this is that platform.
And thankfully, we have social media that can give us the opportunity to step outside the realm of misinformation and focus on the reality of what's going on in our villages and in our schools and what we see on a daily basis.
That's right. So, I mean, you said it, media manipulation. We have this media platform, the podcast, which we could use to our advantage if we had a personal vindictive agenda. Right. And we could use that as a media manipulation to get the listeners to go in our direction. But that's not what we're going to do. What we're going to do is call out the media manipulation.
Exactly.
Right? So, like, I've seen it and heard about it so much. Fake news.
Right.
You hear about fake news. You hear about biased reporting, social media echo chambers. You hear about these people with power on media, and they use that power to manipulate children, people that aren't very well educated, you know what I mean? And they use that maybe for their own personal biased opinions, or maybe they're being paid to use that platform, or their power as a mainstream media influencer or something, right?
What they do is they end up creating that trust. And so then you take it to heart what they say because you trusted them. And, you know, it's kind of like your weatherman. It's like, because he's been right, you know, X amount of times, you think, oh, well, I'm not going to make plans because it's going to rain all day. And it was sunshine.
That's right. Yeah, exactly that, man. The weather is like the worst fake news in the world, man.
Right.
Weather Channel is unbelievable. And you would think in the 21st century, they would at least know if it's going to freaking rain all day or not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
but you're right. That trust is built.
Well, the thing is that we know they know because of our experiences with the military. When they shut down flights.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's serious because these things change.
Sure.
And but as far as when you look at the commercial media weather, it's like flights are still going on.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, okay, well, why is flight still going,
If there's going to be a tornado that comes across my house today.
Right.
Which they're telling us. Like, for example, just the other day, man, we were shutting down thinking the hurricane was coming in.
Right.
And honestly, I got a little bit of wind, dude, in my yard. Meanwhile, Okaloosa County was on high alert. Like, the whole freaking southern hemisphere of the United States, southeast hemisphere, was completely shut down. Now, it did affect a lot, but where we're at,
Mississippi.
Yeah.
I end up canceling a show in Mississippi because it was going through, and some of the comics who are based out of there called me. I was like, yeah, our power's out.
Yeah.
But right now the theater hasn't canceled.
That's
yet.
right.
But we're just all tentative. So I just don't like driving through storms for long periods. If it's brief, like sometime when I'm going through Jacksonville, but I was like, all right, let me keep watching it. And actually where the show was did not, but around that town had significant stuff. And I know from Nashville, we've had where the surrounding areas have gotten tore up, but then we've had where the surrounding areas did not get touched, but Nashville was destroyed.
So it's like you build that trust, and then you assume you base your life on that trust. And this is just as basic as the Weather Channel. My grandmother's 80th birthday was this last weekend. I was going to make the drive, but I didn't because it was literally the same day that this storm hit that entire section. Now, I didn't get hit, but I couldn't have drove all the way up. So you build this trust factor with, and what you think is the news,
Right.
which is we're talking weather right now.
Right.
But it's you build that trust factor, and then all of a sudden it's not as accurate as it should be. That's what's happening with media manipulation for everything, though, right?
Yeah, and part of it is because we're using weather right now, is they need the ratings and they need the numbers. So they over dramatize these situations so that we can check back. Because I kept checking and kept checking to see, because this is my living, so I'm like,
and they were getting numbers every time you were checking.
Yeah, every time I'm checking.
So they're getting paid.
They had me hooked.
That's right.
Because, and then if it wasn't them, it was my wife saying, I'm concerned, I've seen this. They had her hooked.
Right.
So I wasn't really worried, but I didn't want her worried about me being on the road, me being in a ditch somewhere, because she had this vision.
Yeah.
I'm driving through this storm. The tornado's going to pick me up.
That's right.
In a minivan.
I think you were being a real life Twister movie.
Yeah.
And you were flying across some Wizard of Oz.
And we just watched Twister.
Oh my God.
And so she was like, I'm just, worried about you. I want you, to do your show and everything. But, it's like no money is worth. And I was
right. And it's true.
Well, I told her, I was like, well, just think about it. If something did happen, that insurance looks pretty good.
That's right. She'd be like, you know what? Go ahead and take that drive. Well, be safe, baby.
Right.
But you're right. It's a little different now. And that trust factor is gone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now our nation in general just doesn't trust the news, regardless whether you're a left watching, CNN, or if you're a right watching Fox. You know what I mean? If I'm a right watching CNN or watching Fox, I don't believe any of this shit anymore.
Well, see, that's the difference
very
between you.
For me.
You say Americans.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of 50-50. You have that sense of where you will trust but verify.
That's right. Yeah.
And so,
do your own damn research on them facts.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And then you have other folks that have that trust, and so they don't verify. And so that's where the media manipulation comes in at, because they need those numbers so they know, there's enough people out there who are, some people use that term sheep, and
I use it all the time. Don't be a damn sheep. I can't stand it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
If you are a sheep,
right,
you still have to trust and verify.
That's right.
If you got a sheepdog out there and you got a shepherd out there
right,
looking after you, you still got to be vigilant and look around, and because a lot of times, since we said sheep, I've been on farms before and they're looking around, and the shepherd and the dog knows the warning sounds that they give each other. The sheep.
So they're using the sheep, right?
Yeah.
To help them get to where they need to go and do their job.
Right.
Yeah.
So they make that warning sound. And so now the shepherd and the shepherd's dog is on alert, and they're looking around and they're saying, okay, what made them nervous? And then they're like, oh, okay. They saw a rustle in the bush. Oh, that's a deer.
That's right.
You know what I mean? That's not a predator.
So basically be a sheep, but be an educated sheep.
Because
be smart.
Some of us are built that way.
Yeah.
Some of us are built like, I have a friend who's a pastor, and sometimes you don't need everybody in the church to be a preacher.
Sure.
You need some people to follow and some people to lead.
Yeah.
Or like my grandmother would say, my uncle would say, too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And so everybody has their role. And if you trust somebody to give you information, your role is to still trust and verify. And if there's not enough information out there to verify, then you take it with a grain of salt. Doesn't mean that they're being dishonest with you, but that means you don't believe it wholeheartly.
Right. Use your own deduction skills.
Right.
That's where the common sense comes into play.
Yes.
So even if you don't believe the facts that you've seen, or not believing, you don't have enough facts,
right,
then go ahead and utilize your own deduction skills, not just go jump on the train of misinformation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Stop doing that, because what's happening is you're allowing yourself to be impeded and your knowledge to be kind of watered down
Right.
by mainstream media or manipulation or by misinformation. And what you're doing is now, what are you doing? You're doing the worst thing you could possibly do is miseducate or misinform your damn children.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or your youngins, or even your peers.
Right.
And now they are jumping on because they trust you. They trust you more than anything in the world. So if you don't even know your own ass from a hole in the wall, how are you going to be able to tell your children that stuff?
Right.
And then you're really going to think that those children are going to be raised properly or
Right.
educated? No. So here's another thing. Like, there's influencers out there that are just unbelievably powerful to my kids.
Oh yeah. You got to think there's an influencer out there who convince people to do a laundry pod challenge.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? So that's
eating the pod or whatever.
Yeah.
that was.
So you have influencers out there that have that much control over
a young mind, or even an adult mind.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I've seen some.
To put something that is poisonous,
Sure,
and toxic in their mouth and see how long they can hold it.
Disgusting.
And, things like that. It was different when it was like silly stuff like the ice bath challenge, or the ice bucket challenge.
Yeah.
We even did that at the fire department to raise money.
Yes.
It's
I was
fun,
going to say, yes.
And it's good, good nature is one thing. But we got influencers now that even like the hot chip challenge, where, this thing is so hot that some people,
their throats are closing up and they're dying or they're suffocating.
Yes.
How hot it is. Yeah.
And so let's say the first time it happens, that same influencer says, hey, I realize this is not safe. Let's not do this. You have no influencer saying, let's not do these things. It's like everybody is like, oh, it's my turn. That person got 100,000, 1 million views. Let me do it so I can get 100,000. It's like
my kids are seeing this.
Right. And so they're just trading,
right,
negativity for numbers.
Right.
And that's what the manipulation is whether it's these big news networks, they're trading negativity and drama.
Well, the superstars, man, not just the news. The news is obviously, my opinion, the news is stupid as hell at this point. Now It's been destructive to us. And hell, you're black, right? I'm white.
Yes.
Okay, for the viewers,
right?
You were born black, right? And I was born white. And
well, I consider myself being born handsome.
And
handsome,
handsome,
burly.
Yeah, that's right, burly. My point is really this: is there wasn't. I felt, and I've talked to some of my friends that are black that have built more racial issues since the media has really been pushing it.
Right.
Like maybe they weren't racist before, but they may be a little bit now.
Yeah.
They don't try to be, but they, it's kind of almost enforced on them via media or, misinformation or manipulation, right?
You start thinking that if this is true, I need to be worried.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the thing is that
defensive.
Yeah. I'll give you a prime example of why I feel like the media manipulates, especially when it comes to racism, is I was coming here, stopped at a light. I saw 2 white females breaking open a box of Slim Jims and handing one to the passenger, right? And I rolled down my window and waved and said, hey, can I have one? And she was like, sure. And was getting ready to give one. I was like, I'm just kidding. And I invited him to my comedy show.
Oh, cool.
But it's just, I know I've been around enough people to know that not everybody is scared of me.
That's right.
But if you went off of the description that is given in the media, black male, long hair. But I know I also carry myself with a smile, and I'm always willing to be kind to everybody.
Right.
And so
it's reciprocated. Yeah. That energy is put out by you immediately.
Right.
Versus, having this media misinformation that's going to kind of put that stigmata on you.
Right.
And not allow you to be that, right? And same with me. Now, there's a lot of people saying this now is like a middle-aged white man is like what you don't want to be these days. Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that fits me exactly.
Well, and that's because of the way the media has made you out to be is not what you are. And that's the same experience that a lot of minorities have gotten in the past. And now you have a lot of social media commentary that discuss some of these things are just to build numbers.
That's right.
Is to make you tune in so that you could be
Well, tune in to Streetlight Angels, man, because we're going to tell you we're all fucking minority.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? We are
because when
all
you look,
minorities at this point because we're all dumbed down by
right.
the stupid media and the manipulation that has been embedded into us in the last 10 years.
But wait, this is what makes us the biggest minorities, regardless of our color, is that we want common sense back.
Mhm.
We want that village back that looks out for each other.
That's right.
And so those like-minded people continue to tune in
Sure.
because they want the same things. Is that it's like when I go into a VFW or a community center or even a mall,
Sure.
it's like I speak to people who have kind eyes.
Mhm.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
the only thing that matters to me
Sure.
is, and sometimes if you have sad eyes, I speak to you because I feel like I want to be a bearer of joy. I don't want to bring any drama into your life.
Mhm.
You
Right.
know.
Right. And that's everybody's losing that, or they have been. I think it's now at the time for, I say this all the time, recalibration, right?
Right.
And then allow yourself to hold, not only, we've talked about this before, not only hold yourself accountable, but hold your peer accountable. Like if you're acting like a tool, man, I'd tell you. And same with you to me, you'd be like, Josh, dude, that was
Yeah.
kind of stupid. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think it's
come on, man.
important. I think so.
Help me.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that's the thing is that if you know where it's coming from, then when somebody says, oh, well, don't do that, or that appeared to be this way. And you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Is a lot of times when we get corrected, we get offended.
Right. Or defensive and offended. Exactly.
Yeah, and that does have something to do with pride, but it also has to do with your morality being obscured in a sense, and and so I'm not the type that think that I'm so high and mighty that I can't be corrected because I like learning from other people's mistakes. And so if you say to me, hey, this is something that I did in the past and this is how I correct it, I'm like, boom, that may work for me. So it's in the back of my mind, especially like when we're talking about speaking engagements or networking and things like that. A lot of times now, people only want to network when it comes to money, profitability, not when it comes to family.
Right.
Like I see a good family at the playground. I'm like, hey, we need to schedule a play date because I need my children to learn how to pick and choose good people to be around.
Sure. Find that good energy, stick with it, and maintain that, right?
Don't just pick just because you like them.
Right.
Know that they're good people.
Yep.
And that's why they got picked.
That's right. It could be reciprocated. You know what I mean? They're going to treat you just as well. And so I think that a lot of the misinformation and the manipulation that's really put on us is there's too much power giving to, some of these superstars. And, there's not, and I'm not just talking about on a political aspect or even just like YouTube. You got like country singers, you've got, rap stars, you've got movie stars, and they want to get into like politics. Man, shut up. You're an entertainer.
Right.
Keep your mouth shut on your politics. You want to say it publicly, fine, go for it. But you better damn well say, this is my opinion alone. Right. Maybe give us some facts as to why it's your opinion, but do not endorse your political view or push that on your fans just because you think it's the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that irritates me with a passion. Like there was a rapper that I loved, man. I loved him so much. You know what I mean? I thought he was amazing, a lyrical genius. And then he started getting into politics. And now it's like, I like his music, but he's an idiot.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it irritates me because he went down a couple notches on my... Right. And I don't enjoy his music as much anymore. Exactly. You know what I mean? Same with actors. My top 3 favorite actors of all time are now not. And because they wanted to put their dumb ass opinion and try to kind of manipulate people to follow them. Like, shut up. You are an artist. Be an artist. You're not a politician. You're not, you know what I mean, whatever. Exactly. Keep your damn shit to yourself and let us enjoy, you know what I mean?
And the only reason why the media gave them the platform is because of their career.
That's right.
In Hollywood.
That's right.
Not their career as an activist or as a political entity looking out for our good, America's good, or even on a mayoral. Yeah. And so that's the thing is like, okay, let me see how much limelight I can get in this arena. Now, the celebrities that I like and appreciate, they'd rather put their money towards that candidate and let that candidate do their thing, not say, okay, because if that person has a great platform, then they need the resources to
That's
get it
right.
out there. If it's appropriate, let us as the public see their platform and see it appropriate, not see that, okay, you got celebrity behind you, but no public backing.
Right.
You know, why would you even need a celebrity? If I was into politics, I would say, you know, I appreciate it, but I need the people behind me, not necessarily, you know, not your face. You don't,
That's right.
because that's what happens is that their face becomes the marquee.
That's right.
And you're the sidebar. So now it's almost like if you're for the public, then you shouldn't be a puppet.
I mean, look how many fans and followers Swift lost when she endorsed Kamala.
Right.
Right? Like, she just lost a bunch. I don't know her personally.
Right.
But I do know that you have such an influence on people.
Right.
Why would you lower your own self to a political stand?
Right.
Essentially.
Because that politician could flip.
Mm-hmm.
And now, even after the fact, they didn't flip. Do you got to go back and take away, oh, well, I believed in them then, I don't now?
That's right.
No, it would be better to use your platform to say, verify everything you hear from everybody.
That's right. Do your research.
Yeah,
use that wisdom. Use that that power.
Yeah.
As a if Taylor Swift came out and said blue or red, even get out of politics. Actually, here's a question. When was the last time you felt comfortable voting? When was the last time we struggled to pick who we wanted to vote for? Do you remember? I don't remember the last time I was like, dang, there's two presidents. I don't know which one I want to pick because they're both awesome.
Right. You almost don't want to think about it to the last minute because of so much misinformation.
That's hard.
Yeah, it's like when I was growing up, we would even discuss politics in middle school, like this candidate and then this candidate, and it'll just give you information.
Right.
Like no teacher.
Facts.
Now you have teachers who've gotten influence. And, you know, my thing is that
man, teachers, dude.
Is everything that you do when you're raising a village should have more to do with teaching independent thinking.
That's
right. If you had every celebrity that's out there now saying, do the research. And a lot of it is available on the web.
That's right. Or help with that research.
Right.
You know what I mean? Help fund fact finding.
Yeah. But help fund the library.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's one of the reasons why libraries are losing funding, because nobody's going there to do research. And people don't realize is that librarians, their whole job is to bring stuff into the library that can inform the public. And that's why you have fact and fiction.
That's right. Dude, I cannot stand the idea of ripping history down because it had some kind of negative influence on us currently, or how we feel how people's feelings feel about it currently. Don't take the history away, because that is going to destroy.
Shows where you come from.
That's right. What do we always say it all the time? Learn from other people's mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, like,
you know what I mean?
grew up in the inner city, one of the worst neighborhoods in Nashville.
Yeah.
I live in one of the best neighborhoods in Crestview right now.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't want to destroy where I came from just because I'm in a better place now.
That's right.
It's like, I need to teach my children obstacles are going to come in life, and you do have to learn.
That's right.
In order to make sure that you're not stuck where you're at.
So ultimately, media manipulation is there. It's got to be clear by now to you. If you're living under a rock and you don't see it, listen to this Streetlight Angels podcast, because mainstream media is there, and we are not telling you to be biased in any way. We are literally just shedding light on the fact that it's there. And it's been shed probably many times, a million times over by all these others. We're just giving another platform for that.
Right.
With media manipulation and misinformation, all we got to tell you from this aspect and from our point of view is do your own damn fact researching. Right. And then tell your kids to do the same damn thing.
And you know,
teachers, man, if you're trying to manipulate my kids, or any of my friends' kids or any of my village's kids based on your own biased opinion, you are not an educator. You're not an educator. Get your ass up out of the seat and go find another profession.
Right.
Because I don't want that in my school system. I don't want my kids to have to deal with stupid people like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Shut your mouth, get to the basics, teach the facts, do what you're supposed to do as a facilitator, as an educator, as an adult for our children, and then you move on, you know what I mean? And let them live their life.
As an educator, if you look at the curriculum they're giving you and you feel like there's some manipulation involved in it, there's still always a foundation of free thinking, whether you're looking at history and where we came from, or whether you're looking at science. It's more important that my children know how to read and comprehend than almost what they're reading. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't want them reading garbage, but I learned how to read from comic books more than I did textbooks.
Sure.
And that was because I had the desire to know the story.
Right.
And even now, there are organizations out there that created comic books to teach history and different sciences, just because they know that constructively that's what's catching the reader's attention.
Right.
And so that format. And so why not endorse that in the sense of, my grandmother used to say, whatever's going to help you learn is what I'm going to support. And, and so we go to after school programs specifically because it was going to help us in school. But the media is so tricky. Is sometimes they slide stuff in and you don't even realize you could watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy and it has some type of social significance to the producer and writer. And, because that's how they try to keep your attention, is they look at premises that we're dealing with now and they write a story about it. Right. They have a bias. It's not a neutral story. It's always a bias, and they'll address like those things. And, it's episodes on different things. One episode that I can think of now had to do with medications and how some doctors misdiagnose and not admit that they misdiagnosed.
Oh, because they're like a practice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't do anything to that doctor because they were just practicing.
And in real life, those things happen, and because of the way the media is that they may only tell us about the stories on the sides that are for them or for the numbers.
That's right.
Like you hear about an incident, it's like, why are they airing that? When as opposed to something that actually matters to our village. I feel like when I'm looking at the news, half of it makes sense of why they're reporting it, and the other half seems like a waste of time in a sense of like that does not apply to what's going on.
You got to filter it out so much, man. And so there's so many different like narratives, and the narratives are trying to shape everything, but everything's based off of perception. Right. And this is the worst saying in the world. I hate this saying with a passion. It's what you perceive is right. Perception is reality. That's bullshit.
Right.
Perception is not reality. Reality is reality, and perception is perception. Perception is not a fact. Reality is the fact of something, right?
Right.
And so I've heard that so many times in my life. Well, you perceive to not do this at work, or it's under the perception that blah. Shut up. You know what I mean? I don't care if you perceive all day long. What's the reality? What's the facts?
Right.
Now, if everybody could fine tune or maybe pivot themselves to just look at the reality of something versus the perception of something and is fact finding themselves, then is when you get that good positive education that's going to allow you to make good positive choices.
Right.
Right. And then it's going to allow you to ultimately positively affect your children. You know what I mean? Or the children around you, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
We will pick up this episode and what we're talking about at another time. This is a very obviously huge subject. And because what it's doing is it's destroying families, it's destroying villages. It's, we say communities, it's villages, it's destroying friendships because, people just aren't thinking for themselves.
Yes.
Right. And they're allowing manipulation, media manipulation, and just misinformation and bias reporting and fake news and social media echo chambers. It's allowing all of this to give you a perception when you should just be looking at the reality of it.
Right. I think that, the takeaway is the main goal in this message is to think for yourself.
Think for yourself. Fact find and think for yourself.
Right. Hear what we're saying and fact find it.
That's right.
And if you find a flaw in what we're saying, address it in the comments so that way we can look at it and be like, okay, well, in the content, I can see how you took it that way, or you're correct. We have no problem with that. But
fact find our facts. You know what I mean? Or fact find us trying to tell you to fact find.
Yeah. Fact find whether or not the media manipulates American society.
Exactly.
And
I bet you, man, you talk about a rabbit hole.
Yes.
They're going to be finding all kinds of stuff now.
You'll be up at 4 in the morning mad at us because there's too many facts that prove
that's right.
The reason why they call television programming because they know that element of programming. If you adhere and listen to it enough, it's going to affect you even on a subconscious level. And maybe the next time we just need to have a psychologist or a therapist talk about how programming works when it comes to media attention.
That's a good idea. Hey, give us some pointers. We appreciate you guys listening to the fact shenanigans that's coming out of our mouth, but it's not. It's something that we're inevitably bringing light to so that we can, get our kids outside and play until the streetlights come on. This is Streetlight Angels podcast with Josh and Eugene. You can find us at Streetlight Angels podcast on Facebook and social media platforms. We're going to be on the website here very, very soon at streetlightangels.pro.com with that production company. And then you can also email us at streetlightangelspodcast@gmail.com. And just reach out to us on social media. I promise you, we are not going to get our feelings hurt if you tell us that you got offended by something we said. Let's talk about it. Let's get some facts, brought out about it. And nothing wrong with that. That's the goal of it. We are literally here to make sure that we can start building a relationship together and get us to where we used to be. Right, Eugene?
Right. We don't just talk about it. We be about it.
That's right. Oh, man. And I got some awesome news to talk about on the next one as well about what we're doing to be doing about it. What we actually have done now with this podcast alone and making some huge changes to our village and helping out significantly. So we'll reattack that next episode.
Sounds good.
All right, y'all. Y'all be safe like always. We love you and take care of yourself. Until next time.
Peace.